Good evening, Africa, once again, wherever you're watching us across the continent. Of course, this is your favorite Pan-African show, Bottomline Africa. My name is Yusuf Ibrahim, and tonight we're going to discuss more about, Kenya's foreign affairs policy and what the Jubilee government has in store for the country as far as, foreign relation is concerned. And tonight, South Africa suspended President Jacob Zuma's State of the Nation address, even as he battles increasing pressure to resign. We're also following reports that the Democratic Republic of Congo has ordered Belgium to close a consulate and cut flights by Brussels Airlines in a further deterioration of relations between Belgium and its former colony. This and much more, of course, right here on Bottomline Africa. Let's go straight to our highlights tonight. Top leadership of the powerful ruling ANC party to consider the fate of embattled South African President Jacob Zuma. Zimbabwe's opposition says their leader Morgan Tsvangirai is in critical condition in a South African hospital. Why activists are intensifying their campaign against the old African cultural practice of female genital cutting. And tonight, we'll try to make sense of the foreign affairs policy priorities for the Jubilee government in their second term. Well, to help me discuss on that last bit on our highlight, we have Abdullahi Boru in our studio. He is a Horn of Africa analyst. We also have Nakia White. She is the managing partner, Global Ladder. And joining me all the way from our city center studio is Professor Macharia Munene, who is an international relations lecturer. But for now, let me just pose this question, which is on our Twitter poll tonight, and we're asking you, what is your assessment of Kenya's foreign relations under President Uhuru Kenyatta? What is your assessment of Kenya's foreign relations under President Uhuru Kenyatta? Remember, our Twitter handles at KTN News. You can as well tweet me at Yusuf Ibra. The hashtag is Bottomline Africa. But for now, let's begin with our top story tonight. Now, in South Africa, pressure is mounting on President Jacob Zuma to resign, even as he summoned an emergency cabinet meeting in the face of adversity. This as Parliament cancelled a planned State of the Union address that was to be delivered by the embattled former ruling ANC leader on Thursday. Now, the Nelson Mandela Foundation has also called for the controversial President Zuma to quit as he faces growing pressure to stand down. Now, South Africa had seen systematic looting under Zuma's rule. The governing ANC party has called a meeting of its top body for Wednesday to decide on Zuma's future. The president has so far resisted calls to quit over corruption allegations. The 75-year-old Zuma was replaced as party leader by his deputy Cyril Ramaphosa in December. Ramaphosa is now the front runner to succeed him as president. Meanwhile, pro and anti-Zuma supporters have clashed in Pretoria.
Of President Jacob Zuma, and the matter that we had discussed will be taken to the NEC.
We believe the right decision's been made by the institution of Parliament. Its integrity is intact. It has been spared the absolute indignity of being addressed by the discredited president of a discredited government.
The ANC's response is that we welcome the postponement of SONA 2018 because indeed from where we are seated, it gives all of us as parties in the Assembly and also in the NCOP an opportunity to work towards a SONA that will not be chaotic, a SONA that will not be disruptive, but a SONA that will appeal to all our people.
We welcome the postponement of the State of the Nation address and look forward to a motion of no confidence, which will reiterate that it should be convened before any State of the Nation address, because predictably so, Mr. Zuma is not going to resign any moment soon.
And still in the south of the continent, now in neighboring Zimbabwe, there are growing concerns over the health of the main opposition leader there, Morgan Tsvangirai, who is said to be critically ill in a South African hospital. Now, local media quoted family sources as saying the 65-year-old former prime minister, who is being treated for colon cancer, is suffering from weight loss, exhaustion and muscle thinning. During his political struggle against ex-president Robert Mugabe, he has been beaten and imprisoned numerous times. Tsvangirai heads Zimbabwe's movement for democratic change, well known as MDC party. He has been in and out of hospital since June, receiving treatment in a Johannesburg hospital for cancer. He returned to the hospital early last month. Tsvangirai's health deteriorated rapidly on Monday, family sources told Zimbabwe's Bulawayo 24 News website on Tuesday. He had lost appetite and had difficulty eating or swallowing fluids. Tsvangirai also reportedly had breathing problems. Meanwhile, an MDC party source was quoted by Reuters news agency as saying that Tsvangirai is quote-unquote critically ill and we should brace for the worst. Tsvangirai's spokesman, Luke Tamborinyoka, said the MDC leader was stable, but the nation should keep on praying. The hospital where Mr. Tsvangirai is being treated has so far made no public comments on the issue. Now, fresh talks on the crisis in South Sudan began in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Monday as pressure mounts on leaders to take stronger action to end the country's 4-year civil war. Now, the talks in Addis Ababa have been convened by the East African bloc, eager to push the warring sides back to the negotiating table after 2015 peace deal collapsed. Ethiopia's Foreign Minister, Workine Gebeyehu, said this was the very last chance to end the nightmare for South Sudanese people. The United States banned the export of weapons and defense services to South Sudan, stepping up pressure against Salva Kiir and signaling that Washington is losing patience with the young nation's leaders after repeated agreements to end the violence. Neighboring countries and African groups such as the 8-member IGAD are under increased pressure to sanction South Sudanese officials who undermine the peace process. IGAD has said it will impose a range of sanctions if warring sides violate any future deals to end the crisis there.
That is your country. This is your people. To save your country and your people, take more concrete, definite action. Make no mistake, you collectively, by your political and personal interest, are responsible for the nightmare your own people are going through. You have had numerous opportunities to change directions. You have repeatedly failed to do so. Let me underline again. This really is the very last chance for you to accept your responsibilities and take the necessary action to ensure South Sudanese peace and prosperity.
The cessation of hostilities agreement has outlined the measures, and these measures include travel bans in the region for parties that continue to jeopardize the peace process in South Sudan, and it includes asset freeze and also restrictions on flow of weapons to the country. And we believe these are strong measures that have been accepted in the cessation of hostilities agreement. And if there is any attempt to jeopardize the process and IGAD takes these steps, I think it will force the parties to reconsider their decisions and really contribute constructively to the search for peace in our country.
From Ethiopia, let's now cross over to the west of the continent, and Boko Haram fighters stormed a village in northeast Nigeria and murdered 2 civilians, a local resident and a security source said on Monday, as the military again maintained the jihadists had been defeated. Now, the attack happened on Sunday evening at Alaukofa village, some 12 kilometers from Maiduguri, the capital of unrest-hit Borno State. Bukar, whose father was shot in the leg during the attack, said the jihadists specifically came to steal their cattle, but were forced to abandon their herds when soldiers arrived. A security source in Maiduguri, who asked not to be identified as he was not authorized to speak to the media, confirmed Bukar's account. Nigeria's military said last week they had cleared the Sambisa forest in Borno State of Boko Haram fighters just over a year after making a similar claim.
Proceed around 9:05 in the night. So they went to attack the village, carry some cow, and then set off the village on fire.
Now, February 6th marks the 6th International Day of Zero Tolerance for FGM, or female genital mutilation. FGM has been outlawed in Uganda since 2010, but some remote communities in Karamoja, in the northwest of the country, still practice it in secret. The United Nations Population Fund and UNICEF are working with local NGOs there and community leaders to try to stamp out FGM in Uganda altogether.
Pokot women in northeastern Uganda perform a reenactment of a female circumcision. These cutters used to circumcise girls from the age of 12 to initiate them into womanhood and prepare them for marriage. Since the practice was outlawed in Uganda in 2010, they say they've stopped, but the UN and NGOs say the practice continues in secret around this region. It's estimated that over 90% of Pokot women here have been circumcised. In this traditionally pastoralist community, men are away for long periods. As well as tradition, cutting is a way of ensuring young wives will stay faithful. Women are well paid to circumcise girls, and families can earn a higher bride price from girls who are cut.
I didn't find it difficult because it was one of the processes of womanhood for a girl to become a woman. Even if it was painful, it is just one time.
Circumcision is also a spiritual rite here. These elders used to perform rituals to prepare the cutters to circumcise girls and to ask the gods to bless the procedure. Local NGOs supported by the UN have been working to stop circumcision while preserving the local culture by using rituals in a new way. Now the spiritualists say they're using these rites to fend off bloodthirsty spirits so they can leave their girls uncut. Christine was circumcised when she was 12. Giving birth to her 6 children was so painful, she says she can't let her girls be cut.
Each time I give birth, the doctors have to cut me open again. In the hospital, they tell us to stop circumcision because it's not good, because we are suffering.
Despite efforts by local authorities and the Ugandan government, the law remains extremely hard to enforce in such remote districts. But if the elders here can be persuaded to give up FGM, the transition to womanhood may be far less dangerous for the next generation of girls.
Now, for more news from Uganda, correspondent Solomon Serawanja now reports on the military celebrations to mark the ascension of the ruling National Resistance Movement to power.
Standing in front of the crested crane, which is the national bird for this great nation, Uganda. And as you can see, these 2 birds are in flight mode, symbolizing a country on the move. Well, to some, this great move has been attributed to the security and peace which was brought by the UPDF. Now, speaking of which, today, the Uganda People's Defense Forces is celebrating 37 years since they went to the bush in a war that brought President Yoweri Museveni in power. To some Ugandans, this day is worth celebrating, while to others, they don't even know what Tarehe Sita means. Well, this is what they had to say.
I think within the corners of the army and those that have family members in the army and have grown up around the army, it is a day in one way or another that they feel they can associate with. As a Ugandan, I have not even quite been aware that the day is actually 6th February. Yeah? Why? Because even the celebrations themselves are out of the capital, where in one way or another you'd think would actually be involved. But I think there's been limited involvement of the ordinary person with that relationship with the army. The army has done quite a good job over the past and the stories we've had from the past, the transition of attitudes around the army itself, and that has helped Uganda transit from being more of the chaotic country that has been known for to a rather peaceful country. But the successes of the army are and can only be known by the people within the army themselves. But as a country, our association with the army, as an ordinary Ugandan, our own association with the army, I think has been limited. Still, the sense of fear exists, even when we're supposed to believe it shouldn't be. So ultimately, it's a day that will come and go like any other day on the calendar.
I can see peace. I used to hear of Konyi. I don't hear of Konyi anymore. There was Lakwena. I don't hear Lakwena anymore. So if it is UPDF behind the peace, fine. They can go ahead and celebrate. But I insist, I don't know what Tarehe Sita means.
To celebrate that day?
Yeah, I think so. It is good to celebrate because it is a day to remember when NRM put the first shoot in Kabamba military barracks. So this was a liberation day which got to us, to NRM, to power. So it is good to remember that today people have been enjoying relevant peace for the last, let me say, 32 years. So, of course, the army, for them, they are celebrating 37 when they entered into the bush. But at least there have been a lot of achievement, as you can say when you look at education, health, agriculture, so many things to celebrate, and the relevant peace which we are enjoying today, yes.
Well, when all is said and done, the Uganda People's Defense Forces has been ranked highly across the African continent as both a professional and disciplined force. We cannot forget their contribution to the African Union mission in Somalia in the fight against the Al-Shabaab and also in restoring peace in South Sudan. Coming back home, the military has been more than just keeping security and peace within the boundaries. The UPDF has been involved in the Operation Wealth Creation, a project that was started by President Yoweri Museveni in breaking the backbone of poverty in this nation. Now, that project has been loved and hated in equal measure. However, the biggest question of the day is, will the UPDF, which of course is led by President Yoweri Museveni, salute to the next commander-in-chief when the president is gone, especially when that commander-in-chief is from the opposition? The army has said that they will salute to the powers that be. Solomon Serwanja, KTN News.
Thank you, Solomon Serwanja, for that report. Now from Kampala, Uganda, let's now cross over to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, where statistics indicate that 1 in every 10 women have undergone female genital mutilation. Now, government of Tanzania, European Union and other NGOs have come together to end the practice. Our reporter, Rajabu Hassan, is up next with that report.
In a group of 10 women in Tanzania, 1 is subjected to female genital mutilation, according to the Tanzania National Bureau of Statistics. She is a victim of FGM. She gets cut while she is only 13.
Nilijisikia tu vibaya wakati wa kufanyia tohara. Yaani mwili uliishiwa nguvu. Nikawa hata nashindwa kutembea. Ndo nikakaa hapo ndani. Nikamaliza wiki 3. Baada ya kumaliza hizo wiki, ndo nikaamua kutumia madawa ya kienyeji ili kile kidonda kipone.
So far from the
Emma Mashombe works with a group of FGM victims in northern part of Tanzania.
Wanaamini katika wasichana, kama ukikeketwa unasaidia mvua iweze kunyesha katika eneo lao, na kama hujakeketwa ina maana unazuia mvua isinyeshe, ambapo hiyo mvua isiponyesha ina maana ina madhara katika jamii, ina maana hakutakuwa na mazao na mifugo itakosa sehemu nzuri ya kuishi pamoja na kula.
The efforts made by the government of Tanzania and NGOs made the FGM practitioners to get a new way of practice to escape with the law.
Wao wanafanya hivyo wakijua kwamba hawataweza kuonekana, na ni ngumu sana kumtafuta au kuona kitendo cha ukeketaji kikifanyika kwa mtoto ambaye ana mwaka mmoja au mtoto ambaye ana wiki moja. Ni ngumu.
European Union and girls' rights activists together insisted that FGM is crime and more efforts needed to end it.
I would say much enhanced efforts will be required to hold this trend. We, the European Union, are firmly dedicated to ending all forms of violence against women, more in general, including FGM.
Practice of FGM has been illegal in Tanzania since 1998. The practitioners can lead to 15 years imprisonment, but still many women and girls forced to undergo FGM. Rajab Hassan, KTN News, Dar es Salaam.
Thank you very much, Rajab, for that report from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. That report from Tanzania takes us to a very short break, but when we return, remember we'll have a studio discussion, and earlier in our Twitter poll, we did ask you, what is your assessment of Kenya's foreign relations under President Uhuru Kenyatta? What is your assessment of Kenya's foreign relations under President Uhuru Kenyatta, especially in his first term? And now that he is assuming his second term in office, what might be his priorities. In studio to help me discuss this topic is Abdullahi Boru, who is an Horn of Africa analyst. We also have Nakia White. She is a managing partner, Global Lad, as well as Professor Macharia Munene, who is an international relations lecturer. He's going to join me all the way from a city center studio. Stay with us. We'll be right back.